Welcome to Buy It on BirchStreet, the weekly show where we highlight the best of procure-to-pay on demand in innovation, automation, and solutions to help save you and your customers valuable money and time. BirchStreet Systems provides global enterprises with multiple locations a complete procure-to-pay business solution deploying cloud technology. I'm your host, Gareth Fraser. Our guest today is Seth Stecker, Senior Account Director for the Southeast United States. Welcome to the show, Seth.
Thanks, Gareth. How are you today?
Doing great. We're both in the Sunshine State for all of our listeners, and so winter for us is in the chilly 70s and sometimes the freezing 80s. Right, Seth?
I am wearing jeans today as it is only 73 degrees, so yes.
That's right. I'm in Sarasota. Seth's in Fort Lauderdale. Seth, you've got a long career in hospitality. Maybe we can begin there and you can share with the listeners your career and what brought you to BirchStreet Systems.
About 10 years ago, I accepted a position with a company called Micros, which was involved on the hospitality side with the property management solutions and the point of sale solutions and some procurement solutions. They were purchased by Oracle not long after I was there. I continued working for them during and after the transition, which was a very highly educational experience, working in a dynamic industry like hospitality, then being absorbed into a company the size of Oracle. Had a lot of good times there, met a lot of good people, but I ended up having an opportunity for a career advancement with a smaller competitor called Agilysys. I was with Agilysys for about 5 years, focused again on the same core product set, working exclusively with hotels as well as cruise lines and casinos, and selling them solutions to help them manage their property, work with their F&B and other outlets, point of sale solutions, as well as helping them with their procurement needs. An opportunity arose. I had competed against BirchStreet for a long time, the entire time I was with both these companies, selling solutions that were frankly good, but perhaps not best in class. I always consider BirchStreet to be best in class. I always found that selling products and solutions from a position of strength like that was very, very appealing versus a lot of the solutions I sold had strengths and weaknesses, but they were not clearly defined as the best that there was in the industry. So that's a big part of the appeal for me, why I decided to make the transition to BirchStreet and work for the best in class solution provider. And I've been with the company now for about a year, and I've really enjoyed it. It's a solution that plays really, I think, a very critical role in today's post-pandemic world as we come out of these difficult times and learn to move forward in the future with the new set of operational standards that exist today.
Well, appreciate that answer and the detail. Can we ask next, what does your current role encompass at BirchStreet Systems?
I'm in charge of the Atlantic territory here in the United States, which is pretty much the whole southeastern portion of the U.S., along with the Caribbean and down into some of the South American countries. I oversee all accounts, whether they're a management company or hotel companies that are located or have their headquarters in those areas. I also work with a couple of named accounts, major named accounts that have properties all over the world. I help them determine what their best approach is and solutions, oftentimes on a property by property basis, to deal with everything that has to do with the process of placing orders, receiving goods, and paying for those goods.
You mentioned the pandemic earlier, so let's pivot to that. How has the period of the pandemic impacted the hospitality industry in your purview of the region that you just described?
Like so many folks within our industry, it's radically changed. We face labor shortages, a lack of people power to manage properties, and just go through the everyday needs that properties have just to operate. So whereas pre-pandemic, there was a different set of challenges and a different perspective that users would evaluate BirchStreet by, in today's world, I consider BirchStreet to sell an essential solution, not so much a nice-to-have solution, which it might have once upon a time been. I consider it essential now because you're having fewer people doing having more responsibility. And frankly, without the tools they need to empower them to do those jobs well, you're going to have some real challenges that can cost your company quite a lot of money. BirchStreet empowers those individuals to automate a lot of the processes that are part of that placing orders, receiving those goods and paying for them, and really allowing them to focus their energies on what we call the exceptions to the norms or the rules that the customers set for themselves. So really, it's an empowerment tool to enable them to continue to operate their hotels in a seamless fashion to their customers, but to do so with smaller staffs and still have the same level of service that their guests expect.
Oh, fantastic. That really reinforces the value proposition for the customers, and you can hear the passion in your voice for the product. And that's something that both you and I and our entire team experience for our listeners' benefit. A great passion, as Seth is translating here on today's show, for the platform, the modules that we have, and the innovation of the team that we have, and how in an environment, as Seth just spoke to, we see increased desire for our invoice management solution or our pay solution based on paper prices going through the roof, 10% increase in that. So it's been a unique time, but BirchStreet Systems is weathered the storm and well suited to provide greater service to our listeners and the stronger brands. We've got one more question for you, Seth. Not sure the listeners have any idea about this, but you are a very fit man. You work out continuously. You found a love of the sport of boxing. It is an increasingly popular sport around the world. What drew you to it, and what's it taught you in life?
Yeah, when I was younger, I was a high energy child and I needed an outlet. Oftentimes growing up, you can find yourself getting to various degrees of trouble. It was an outlet that just suited my personality. I enjoy the challenge of, at the end of the day, it's just you. You have to depend on yourself. You're put yourself in a scary situation, and you are able to learn a lot about yourself. It's odd to say it, I guess, but I find it somewhat spiritual, just having done something and knowing that it wasn't just a need for violence, but more so a need to test myself, to measure myself in a way that really allowed me to evaluate a lot of things about me, both physically and mentally. It's something I still continue to do today. I don't do so much sparring or getting in the ring as I once upon a time did, as the body doesn't respond to it in the same degree of recovery. But yeah, it's still something I really enjoy, and it's a great way for me to burn off some extra energy and put myself in a great frame of mind.
Really appreciate the answer. And in today's world, as you mentioned earlier, we do need that physical fitness and toughness and the mental toughness that you seem to be pinpointing there in relation to the sport. Well, thank you for joining us today, Seth. It's been a wonderful discussion. That's all the time we have, and we'd love to have you back again on the show if you're available.
Anytime, Gareth. My pleasure.
From all of us here at BirchStreet Systems, thanks for listening in, and we'll see you next time right here on It On BirchStreet.